If you're watching this video, it's probably because you've applied for or are thinking of applying for the EU's interinstitutional accreditation test. If that's the case, you've come to the right place. In this series of videos, we will demystify the test. And what better place to start than with the question, just what is the interinstitutional accreditation test? Well, this test, also known as the freelance test or the ACI test, is organised jointly by three of the European institutions: the Commission, the Parliament and the Court of Justice. And candidates who pass are placed on a common list and can work for the European institutions as freelance interpreters. Now, this process might sound a little daunting. Of course, the European institutions have high standards, and test candidates have to demonstrate that they have the skills needed to interpret EU meetings. In this video, we will take you step by step through the testing process. We'll start with your application, and then we'll look at the practical ins and outs. What's the sequence of the tests? What does the actual test look like? Then in the next video, my colleague Owen will speak to two colleagues who have decades worth of experience of sitting on test juries, so we can hear from them what a successful candidate looks like. Then finally, you will see a simulation of a consecutive test and the subsequent jury deliberations. So let's begin. The first thing you'll need to do as a potential test candidate is apply. You can do this at the website shown on the screen. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll find the link in the description. This site contains lots of useful information, including the language profiles the institutions are currently looking for. Make sure to carefully read all the eligibility requirements before you apply. Your application will then go to a screening committee. If the screening committee accepts your application, you'll receive an invitation to take part in the simultaneous component of the test, which will be carried out remotely via an online selection tool. This will be sent out about 4 weeks before the designated test day and will contain important technical information that I would urge you to read carefully. You will be invited to take a mock test, which is not evaluated. This is merely designed to familiarise you with the tool and to check technical compliance. However, it is important to note that this step is obligatory. If you have not completed the mock test in the days allotted to you, you will not be admitted to the simultaneous component of the test. Let's start with the simultaneous component, where each speech will be about 10 to 12 minutes long. As I said earlier, this will be carried out via an online selection programme. What does the programme look like? Let's take a look at a candidate as he goes through the whole process. First though, there are a few important things you need to think about. You'll need to find a quiet space that has a good, stable internet connection. This can be at home, as in this example. Or you could ask your former interpreting school if you can use one of their interpreting booths. It might be a good idea to practice in the same place and at the same time in the days leading up to the test to make sure the location and time are suitable for taking the test. Now on to technical considerations. You will receive detailed technical instructions ahead of the test, so here we just focus on the most important points. You will need a high-speed internet connection, ideally provided through an Ethernet cable or wireless with a strong signal. Make sure you have a reliable computer that can run the Google Chrome browser. The selection tool only works with Google Chrome. Then you'll need a good wired headset with a boom microphone. Alternatively, if you have one, use a good quality tabletop microphone. Don't forget that you'll be sitting in front of the computer for quite some time, so be sure to have a comfortable chair and plenty of water. Don't run any other applications on your computer while taking the test. Now let's look at Assessment Q, the selection tool. As we explained before, first there will be a mock test. The first thing you'll see in the screen is a set of instructions before you move to the next page, which will have a speech from one of your languages. Then, on the day of the real test, you'll once again have to read through a brief set of instructions before the recorded speech appears on the screen. You will first have a brief recorded example speech. You'll have to interpret this example speech in order to check your camera and sound. The tool will record your image and sound. Then the simultaneous tests will start. Once again, you should be aware of the fact that you are being recorded, so pay attention to your posture and body language. There will be a speech for each of your tested languages. As mentioned, these will be 10 to 12 minutes long, and there will be a timer showing how long you have left to complete the exercise. The speeches are similar to those found on the speech repository under Test Type, and will present the usual challenges: figures, lists, proper names. You should practice these types of quite dense but very structured speeches in the weeks leading up to the test. The speeches may also include some references to EU policy, so it would also be a good idea to keep on top of what is happening at the EU institutions. And that's about it for the simultaneous test. Your recorded performance will be assessed by a jury of interpreters from the EU institutions. This can be quite a time-consuming process. There may be other candidates whose performances also need to be assessed. So prepare yourself for a wait of several weeks or maybe even months before you get the results. If you're curious about what these jury deliberations look like, check out part 4 in our series of videos on the interinstitutional accreditation test. Or if you'd like to know what qualities a jury looks for in a candidate, have a look at part 2. If you pass the simultaneous test, you'll be invited to the consecutive part. Good luck!